Yeah, I just wondered whether you could talk us through how you arrived at your hand technique and how you prepare on a daily basis, how you arrived in between kind of a French timpani and a kind of mola.
Okay. Well, basically, in a nutshell, right? In a nutshell, the way I go about my hand technique is the way I go about technique in general. I'm really not a technique snob, you know. I think when people ask me, who do you think has perfect technique? And I think, let's say, I think Charlie Watts has perfect technique because he's able to express what he's trying to, he's reaching for an effect and he's able to accomplish it. As long as you do that, your technique is fine, all right? Now, if you want to play like super crisp single stroke rolls, you need to acquire a particular set of tools, you know, and my concept of like technique is number one, being able to produce the musical effect that I'm looking for. As far as the daily basis go, I don't have I haven't practiced in like 20 years. And it's not that I don't need to practice, you know, because I used to practice a lot. I play a lot, you know, I play a lot. And if you want to get good, then you need to play. Practicing is okay, it's a substitute. But if you have the chance to play, that's how you really get good. Because, you know, away from the instruments, there's tons of things to learn about this, you know, which has nothing to do with this, you know. You can do that. You're watching TV, watching movies on like a rubber pad, you know. You don't need to travel across town, go into your rehearsing space to practice stick control, all right? In like the late 80s, you know, when people started to use a lot of samples of like, you know, James Brown or James Gatson and, you know, all the old guys and Zigaboo, you know, I started to figure out how can I recreate that vibe. So let's say the funky drummer, right? That's a recording. Back then they recorded drums with one microphone, you know, they didn't close mic the bass drum. So evidently the whole thing got like compressed, which made certain things stick out more, you know, like it started to pump out like a magnifying glass. So I tried to emulate those things. And it's not just the organization of that beat, but it's more the dynamics against it, you know, of course, like the feel. So rhythmically speaking, the funky drummer is like something that sounds like this. But it's not really the flavor. So I started to pay attention. What does the hi-hat sound? It's like, you know, where is the hi-hat sound? Where's the snare sound? And the bass drum, not close mic, a little bit. So if you want to create that thing, pay attention to the subtleties, which will be more something like this. You know, as soon as I play the bass drum loud, it kind of loses that slinkiness, that James Brown feel, or something like Sex Machine. You can hardly hear the bass and it's swallowed up by the bass. pay attention to those things, you know, and all these grooves, which actually helps me to imitate some of those break beats, because jungle was breakbeat culture. It's not drum machine culture. So if I go do a break like this. Okay. I got into recreating those loops somehow as closely as I could, and then evidently with the jungle stuff, you know, I started to pay attention. You know, like where there's a side stick could be this, but a side stick could also be this, and anything in between. You know, so just trying to imitate those textures and the beats, and that's how I went about it.